Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Lunchtime Live. I'm Pia from Stitches and Scraps. This is episode 95. For those of you who might be new here, Lunchtime Live is basically my video newsletter. So I'll tell you everything that's going on at Stitches and Scraps, what I'm working on, what's coming up, and then we'll jump into a demo portion. And for 2022, I've been doing a different stitch every week. Alternating between knit stitches and crochet stitches. So this week is crochet, and last week we did the knit trinity stitch. This week we're doing the crochet trinity stitch. They have the same name, but they are very different stitches. And I'll explain that in more detail when we get to the demo. So meanwhile, what is going on at Stitches and Scraps? Well, lots actually. Okay, so first things first, the bag along cal. We're coming to the end of June, which means the end of bag number 3. The last tutorial came out, and that is for this zippered lining. So it's got this little tab under here where the zipper tucks in, and then you can pull the zipper out, and it's got this fabric zippered lining. Not mandatory for the bag, but honestly, it really makes the bag much nicer. And my sewing skills really stink. So if I could do this, you totally can too. And I've posted the video for that. That is out this week. Hello, Tina. Good to see you. Is this your first time here? I don't remember seeing you before on a Lunchtime Live. Welcome, welcome. First time or not, welcome, welcome. One thing I did forget to mention, if I'm talking about anything like the tutorial for that bag lining or that bag itself, you'll find all of those links on my blog. Go into the description on this video and there's a link to a blog post. That blog post has all the links for everything that I'm talking about. It's got like a list here, like here's all the stuff I'm going to talk about, and it's got all the links. Hi Kelly, good to see you. Tina, I'm sorry. I don't remember seeing you. Maybe you don't comment a lot. But anyway, it's good to see all of you. So this bag that I was showing you, it's the third bag in the bag along, which means two things. First of all, the third bag's ending, so the giveaway's ending. The deadline is, I want to say, the 24th. So be sure to get onto it's on the materials post, like when I announce the materials for the bag. The materials and giveaway go in the same post. So get onto that post and enter the giveaway if you haven't already. We're giving away this time a set of pom-pom makers and a set of stitch markers from We Crochet. We Crochet sponsored those prizes, and they're sponsoring the whole event. They sent me all the yarn for all of the bags and everything. So with one bag ending, that means another bag's going to start soon. Early in July, we're going to have the materials and giveaway for the fourth bag out of the 6 for the bag along. So that one's coming up. That's going to be a easier kind of laid back kind of bag. This bag was really labor intensive, right? Like it had a lot of different things going on between the layered mandala and, you know, the lining and the different options for seaming and all of that stuff. The next bag is going to be very simple comparatively. It still will have a couple of fun techniques. I'm going to use some wooden handles. It's going to be a market bag. I'm still not 100% sure on how I'm putting it together, but I know it's going to have wooden handles and it's going to be a market bag. The rest I still have to do. No lining, nothing funky there. And that comes out in early July. The first week, I believe, I'll have the list of materials and the giveaways for that. So that's the bag along. The other thing that's going on for me this week is Art Esprit. I don't know if any of you have seen my previous Art Esprit posts. I love this product, but I don't tend to post about it a lot because it's not fiber related directly, right? But it's such a fun craft project. Art Esprit, and they sent me this stuff. I'm so excited. I got a new box with all the goodies, and I've just brought a couple down to show you. But Art Esprit sent me their new paints, acrylic paints, and their new stamp pad. And they actually, okay, so let me back up a little bit and tell you what Art Esprit is. Art Esprit is iron-on ink. It's a company that makes sublimation products, okay? For those of you who don't know what sublimation is, basically you can create an image and then use heat to transfer it to specially coated surfaces, usually anything with like a polyester coating. And they call those blanks, and they have blanks of all different things. You can get water bottles, coasters, clothing. I made a dog bandana once, bags, all sorts of different things, right? So the way that artistry works and what makes them different for the thermal transfer, basically you're creating your own iron-ons, right? But they have products that you don't need to have a giant heat press and be a commercial producer to use. They started with these thermal transfer markers. So you could literally just take like a coloring book, color in your picture with these markers, and then transfer it to whatever you wanted. You can trace designs onto regular copy paper and color them in and transfer them. So that's where I started with them. And oh my God, so much fun, because literally anything you can color with markers, you can put on anything, pretty much anything. They have blanks for everything. But then they went into stamps, and they had just the black stamp pad, and now they have the new colors. So this one's red, but I got like red, blue, purple, green, yellow, orange, and all the other colors of the rainbow. I think I got something like 6 or 8 new stamp pads from them that just came in the mail. And I did a project with these, which will be coming out on their blog soon. I just submitted it to them. It's a guest blog post, so it's on the Artistry blog, but I'll be sharing that when that comes out. And then the other item that they sent me, which I played with a little bit, but I haven't done like a full project of, is this acrylic paint. So this is cool. You can paint anything you would normally paint, and then transfer that. One thing I found, and the reason that I switched from what I was doing with these to the stamp pads, is the idea I had wasn't going to work with these, because the way the chemistry works with these, darker colors will always show through over the lighter colors, so you cannot layer lighter colors over darker colors. And I was doing like a cherry blossom tree where I did the branches in darker colors and then layered the lighter color paint over the top, which looked perfect in the painted on the paper version. But as soon as I transferred it, the black from the branches just showed right through, and it didn't look good. So that's something you want to be careful about, is that the layering you can achieve with these paints may not be the true version of what it transfers as. I do plan to do something else with these. I had to pivot from that idea, and I wanted something a little bit easier while I figured this out more. A lot of the people who do the guest posts for Artistry are paper crafters and general crafters. So they use these kind of materials a lot more than I do. And it's always a learning curve for me when they throw out a new product. I'm like, okay, what can I do with this? Not being a visual artist or paper crafter myself, but it's so fun because they're so accessible for like us, for me who doesn't have those skills. So it's just so much fun to play with. And I got lots of new toys. That was the point of that. So I'll be playing with that more, and maybe I'll have a project on the blog with the paints coming up at some point. After conference season. So let me talk to you about conference season. Next week, I'm pretty much not existent. There is a conference called H&H that started in Europe, and this year is coming to the US. Not only to the US, but to Rosemont, about a half an hour away from where I live. So it's pretty much in my backyard, and I'm going. It's a trade show. So it's not a conference in the hobbyist sense. It's a trade show mainly for like yarn companies and supply companies that manufacture the craft supplies to sell them to the local yarn shops and buyers from the big companies and all of that. And I'm going both to look at some stuff for the Stitches and Scrap Shop, and also to talk about, fun collaborations and giveaways and things like that we can do with the blog. So I'll be going there. But since it's local, and since all of my best friends are coming, not all of them, but a lot of my best friends are coming, they're all crashing at my house at various points during the week. So between Tuesday and Sunday, I'm going to have anywhere from 1 to 5 people sleeping over at my house. And Saturday is the party day. So needless to say, things are a little bit nuts around here. And I had an idea for a pattern. I'm working on this crochet top for conferences, which is not going to be finished in time. I was going to post that on Monday before all the madness starts. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to get it done. I don't have the time. So that'll come out after this conference. So that's this conference. And then in July, at the end of July, we've got the CGOA conference. If you have not been to a CGOA conference, oh my gosh, you totally need to go if you can. It's so much fun. This one's going to be in New Orleans, and this is a hobbyist / public type of conference. So there's lots of classes and fun events, and I am currently vice president of CGOA. At the conference board meeting is when it switches to me being president. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'll be honest, the part that I'm afraid of is that I have to stand up at the board meeting and actually talk in front of the whole group. And I can get on here and talk at a computer without a problem, but if you put me in front of an audience of 100 people and expect me to talk, it's going to be a lot of ums and really fast talking, and probably something stupid's going to come out of my mouth. So that's going to be fun to see. Public speaking is not my strong suit. Thank you, Tina. I'm excited about it. It's a great volunteer organization, and everything we do is volunteer. And I'm just so excited to see everybody. It's our first conference back after COVID. So my summer gets crazy with conferences, but those are the two for this year. So it's H&H this week, and then at the end of July, there's CGOA. So those 2 weeks, this coming week and that week in July, I'm pretty much not existent on the blog. You're not going to see anything from me. But I'll be back, I promise. I'm not disappearing forever. So no Lunchtime Live next week. I will see you guys in another week after that. And that's about it for what's going on here. I am going to try and convince my friends to do a live video or some sort of social media thing. Maybe we'll all do a TikTok dance or something. Who knows? But hopefully we can share some of our fun with you guys while everybody's here. But then again, maybe not, because we'll have just been coming off of a 3-day conference, and we're probably going to be exhausted. But that is the story of Stitches and Scraps this week. So now let's jump in. Ooh, sorry. All right. Now let's jump into the demo portion. So this week we're doing the crochet Trinity stitch. Now last week, let's see if I still have the sample down here. I do not. Last week we did the knit Trinity stitch, and it was a big open stitch with little tiny bubbles and open spaces that was made up by decreases paired with increases, right? That is knit Trinity stitch. It is nothing like crochet Trinity stitch. The shorts from the cons, yes. We'll definitely try to do something fun. But again, it's not a public conference. It's a trade show. So it's going to depend on whether the vendors are okay with me filming them and posting them. But otherwise it might be just us goofing off in the seating areas too. But I'll definitely try to do something fun from the conference, because otherwise I'll miss you guys if I don't talk to you for a whole week. All right, so crochet Trinity stitch, the only similarity between knit and crochet Trinity stitch is they both get their name from the decreases. Both of them use a double decrease, right, where you're working 3 stitches together. In crochet Trinity stitch, that double decrease is the single crochet 3 together. So I'm just going to do 1 stitch here, and then I'm going to start a new swatch to show you from the beginning. But the single crochet 3 together, you insert your hook in the first stitch, pull up a loop, second stitch, pull up a loop, third stitch, pull up a loop. So now you've got 3 stitches, 4 loops, and you yarn over and pull through all those loops. So that is the decrease that gives this stitch its name. And then we pair that with a chain 1 to keep the stitch count even. So let's look at it from scratch. Let's start a new swatch. This is worked over an odd number of stitches, which means you need an even number of chains to start, because it's basically a single crochet stitch. So you need that 1 extra turning chain. So I'm going to work let's say 10. 10 is enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 chains. Okay, so I'm going to end up with 9 stitch equivalents here. You'll see what I mean by that. Okay, so the first row, what we're going to do, we're going to start with a single crochet in the first stitch. Okay, and I like working in back bumps. You don't have to. I just think it's easier. Okay, so single crochet in that second chain from the hook, just like you would if you were doing regular single crochet. Let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. So that's just a regular single crochet. Now comes the fun Trinity stitch part, okay? We're doing those decreases, but we don't want it to be lacy. This fabric is really dense, right? That happens because we butt those decreases up against each other really tightly. So instead of going into the next stitch to start my decrease, I'm going to go into that first stitch again. The single crochet just gives me a straight edge. I'm going to go into that first stitch again, yarn over and pull up a loop. That's the first loop of my single crochet 3 together. Then I'm going to do the next 2 chains. So it's the one we already used plus 2 more. So that means we're really only using 2 new chains for this stitch, right? So this stitch is the equivalent of 2 stitches, 2 chains on the bottom, right? So we've taken the equivalent of 2 new chains and made it into 1. Here's the top of this stitch. So that's 1 stitch we have to work into for those 2 new chains. Well, now I'm going to chain 1 to give me the extra stitch. So now I have 2 stitches to work into for the 2 chains that we took up on the bottom. All right, let's see that in the next one. Again, we're going to go into the stitch we just worked into, and then we're going to use up 2 more chains. So 1 and 2. And then yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, and now we've turned those 2 chains into 1 stitch, so we need to do another chain to make it 2 stitches. And we keep doing that. Oh, don't know why I'm doing yarn overs. We keep doing that all the way to the end. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Pull through, and then a chain to make my stitch count even. 1, 2. I'm at my last stitch here, so 3, and pull through. Now in this case, I'm not going to do a chain. Why? Because I don't want to end my row with a chain. So instead of the chain, I'm going to do a single crochet back into that last stitch, the same one we just worked into, that last chain. So that single crochet is instead of the chain. So don't do the chain and then do the single crochet, otherwise you're adding a stitch. That's the biggest mistake that I make every time I pick up one of these to do them. All right, so let's look at the next row. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to do the same exact pattern, but I want you to look at where we're going into, okay? The tops of these stitches are here, and then next to them is the chain we made. So here is, if we look from this side, this is a chain, or rather that last single crochet, right? So chain, stitch, chain, stitch, chain, stitch. Why do I want you to pay attention to that? Because it'll help you stay on track to know that you're not skipping a stitch. It's very easy to get lost in this pattern. So we're always starting with the equivalent of a chain and ending with the equivalent of a chain when we do our single crochet 3 togethers. So first we do a single crochet in the first stitch, okay, which was the equivalent of a chain. Now we're going to do the single crochet 3 together over this chain, stitch, chain. You see that? So chain, stitch, chain, right? And then we're going to finish that single crochet 3 together, and we're going to make a chain. Now we're going in here, which remember was a chain, right? So chain, stitch, chain. And you'll always know you've ended up in the right space. When you work into it, the chains feel a little bit tighter and the stitches feel a little bit looser. So if you go into something that doesn't feel right, you've probably gotten shifted. And the way that I always end up getting shifted on this is I forget to go back into the same stitch and I start in the next stitch. And if you do that, then you end up going stitch, chain, stitch, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not in the right spot. I didn't end in a chain. So that's why it helps to be aware of what you're working into, but it's not critical. You're just going 1, 2, 3, okay? Pull through, chain 1, and then back in the same spot for 1, and then the next 2 spots, 2 and 3. Okay, pull through, chain 1, same spot, next spot, and then this last spot is the top of that single crochet we did at the beginning. Pull through, and now I'm not going to chain 1 because I don't want to end my row with a chain, so instead I'm going to end it with a single crochet. And that's it. That's Trinity stitch. You do it the same way all the way across every row. It's a 1 row repeat. So chain 1 and turn, single crochet in the first stitch. Work a single crochet 3 together over the same stitch you just worked into and the next 2 stitches. Chain 1. Work a single crochet 3 together over the same stitch you just worked into and the next 3 stitches. That's 2. Chain 1. Again, single crochet 3 together. That's 3. Chain 1, single crochet 3 together. That's 4. And chain 1. No, see, it's so easy to do. Don't chain 1 at the end. So that's my 4th single crochet 3 together, and then I end with a single crochet. So looking at the stitch counts, we started with 10 chains, which gave us 9 stitch equivalents, right? So that is, each one of these Trinity groups counts as 2 stitches, right? The decrease in chain 1 is 2 stitches. So we had 4 of those, that's 8 stitches, plus 1 extra single crochet at the beginning, which gives you the 9 stitches. And that's how the stitch counts work. So any questions on Trinity stitch? Are we all good with that stitch? If that's all, then I'm going to say thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks, not 1 week. Remember to enter the giveaway. Don't miss that. You've only got till the 24th. And have a great couple of weeks. Stay cool. It is so freaking hot out here. Oh my goodness, I do not do well with heat, and it's been like 90s to 100s the last few days, and it's not letting up. We're gonna have a cooler weekend, and then it's gonna be like super, super hot next week. So stay cool, stay hydrated, and have fun stitching. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.